Ladies and gentlemen, big hairy news.
Hey, kia ora te whānau. Welcome back to another episode of Big Hairy News. Kia ora, Chewie. Oh, Chewie on Chewie. I can see you. I'm just going to fix it.
Yes, hello, Pat. How you doing?
My screens aren't quite pointing at me. There we go. Chewie on Chewie. And just think, it won't be too long, Chewie on Chewie, until we have you could have a Chewie on Chewie, potentially on Chewie. Could be. Chewie on Chewie on Chewie. Inception.
Would that
Chewie
be
on Chewie on Chewie? Yeah, Chewception. Kia ora whānau. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're okay. Hope you're having a good old day. It's Tuesday, eh? These days kind of blend into each other.
Tuesday.
Tuesday. We should definitely do some kind of cheesy radio alliteration with Tuesday. Chewie's Tuesday's Choice or something. Yeah, been a big old day, an important old day, and lots going on. And oh my goodness, foot and mouth disease. Could it get any worse for this government overall? Holy free holies. It is a cracker of a day if you want to see and highlight the nightmare that is this government and the decisions they've made. I follow basketball, Chewie, right? I love watching basketball. There's a player who used to play for the Dallas Mavericks. His name was Luka Doncic. He was like 25 years old. He's believed to be one of the greatest players there ever will be, sort of in 10 years from now. The Dallas Mavericks traded him away because they thought he was getting a bit fat and he was going to be a bit broken down, and they got some players from Los Angeles. So there's this trade going on at the moment. And what's happening right now as we speak is the Dallas Mavericks team, who got rid of this superstar, this generational player, are now all falling apart. Like there's injuries, people are leaving, they're performing really badly. So the management has gone, we're going to make this trade. It's going to be really good for us. All of the fans went, what are you doing? You're insane. And right now, all of the fans are going, see? I kind of feel like that when it comes to this. You know, it's like all of the fans of school lunches went, what are you doing? And right now, unfortunately, we're all going, see? Tonight's show is very heavily influenced by the school lunches theme. I know that's not all there is to talk about, but to be frank, Luxon having to defend it, Seymour having to defend it, hearing from principals who are still spending money buying lunches for school kids. And then I found out tonight, got a segment from 3 News, that yesterday, I missed this yesterday, Seymour was like, oh, you know, there's been one child who's been admitted to A&E. And I was like, excuse me? 2nd-degree burns a child got from one of the school lunches exploding. We're looking at TVNZ stories tonight, but we're going to play part of the TV3 story because the TV3 story has a picture of the kid's burns. This is what we're looking at the moment with this story. And if it does feel a little bit overly heavy tonight around this topic, bear with us because there are several angles for it. It's a very long introduction, Chewie. What would you like to say, sir? Good morning, good evening, and good night.
This school lunches thing is just, it's the story that will not die. It's the story that will not let them go. And Luxon, for all of his furious scrabbling and pissy comments, cannot get rid of him. And I think it's just to the point now that when he looks at Seymour, he just sees a shittily cooked Waddy's microwave meal instead of his normal human or skin suit head. So this thing is haunting him, and it should, because this is a dumb idea. Like every day, I'm not even kidding. every weekday there has been another story
Yeah.
about a school lunch.
Yeah.
Like, I'm looking at RNZ right now. We're probably talking about these stories further on. School lunch provider goes under. West Coast school feeding its meals to the school pig because the kids won't eat them.
Chewie,
School lunches compared to prison food.
That comment you made about the story that will not die, I was going to say, as opposed to the companies making the school lunches where one of them died today. So yes, we will be looking at that, obviously looking at both of those stories you've just mentioned. And we're going to be having a look at Luxon now giving some kind of credibility to fucking Winston's war on woke.
Oh, that clip. I'm going to just going to preface that now. Just because it was bad enough when Winston introduced it, you could go, uh-oh, he's into the sherry and the port again. Someone slapped the phone out of his hands.
Yeah.
He's just reinvigorating, for lack of a better word, his decrepit old base that doesn't understand the world anymore. But then Luxon bought into it.
Yeah, on some level.
But the man has a talent. It's not for politics and it's not for leadership. But you could send him into a minefield and he would find every single mine for you by fucking walking on it. He can't miss.
Baba in the chat right now goes, Trump wannabe. Because the other thing we will have, could you even call this a palate cleanser? I do want to show you a quick story off CNN as to how Ontario is pushing back against Trump at the moment. It is beautiful. Look, actually, I'll take one step back because I feel like, if these school lunches weren't impacting kids so badly, I'd say it's the gift that keeps on giving for commentators. But I feel bad saying that because I know there's a whole bunch of kids who are struggling. And I feel a bit the same about the Ontario conversation as well. What they're going to do is going to bring significant pain to Americans, but it's because of Trump. So on one level, it is a fantastic story. I want to celebrate it, but I can still do that and acknowledge that it's not fair, the American citizens that are going to suffer at the hands of what Ontario is going to do to America. And look, what's going to happen? Let me just put it out here first. Well, I guess it can't be first because it's kind of been highlighted. Trump will cancel his tariffs because he can't actually afford to go through with it. As people under his redonkulous base, the most ill-informed voters the world has ever seen, get to understand that his tariffs are costing them more money. He'll do what he did with Mexico and Canada. He said, "Oh no, I'll put them." He said,
"You're being rude. You're fake news. You're fake."
We'll put it on hold. We'll put it on hold for 28 days, and then there'll be another 28 days, and then there'll be another 28 days. And what's happening, what he's doing at the moment is terrible. Like, I was watching some commentators from the US today talking about the stock exchange. And there's this hilarious thing going around at the moment that the stock exchange under Biden was like highest it's ever been. And Trump was like, the only reason the stock exchange is so high is because they know I'm coming back. So Trump tried to take credit for Biden's record-breaking stock exchange. And now that stocks are crashing when Trump is actually in the Oval Office. What's he going to do? Oh, it's Biden's fault. It's all about Biden. It's like, at some point you jump the shark. We all know what that means, yeah? For people who don't, it's from an episode of Happy Days, which was made both well before mine and Chewie's time, but I'm sure we saw the reruns. And the character, Henry Winkler's character, Arthur Fonzarelli, basically they ran out of storylines. And they ran out of storylines so bad that they made up a storyline in an episode where Fonzie, the leather-wearing, cool guy, was on water skis jumping over a shark. And they stopped the episode. The cliffhanger was him halfway in the air. So if you've ever heard that saying, you're not quite sure what it means, it basically means you get to a point where the story is so ridiculous it just can't work. right? The sitcom got to a point where they'd done every story that's ever been done. So they made ridiculous storylines. They jumped the shark. At some point, most Americans, and I guess the only ones you have to get to are Trump voters, will get to that jump the shark stage. And I think you will see it already. 6 weeks in, he's broken the economy. 6 weeks in, he's ruined the stock exchange. 6 weeks in, they've got record prices of things like eggs and cost of living. And it's all because of what he's doing, going tariffs, no tariffs, tariffs, no tariffs. So there's no business confidence because they don't know what they're what's it going to be in 4 weeks, let alone now. So, yeah, fascinating. So anyway, Ontario, we'll have a look at that tonight as well. Chewie, can we just...
We really need that tangent time fucking thing. That was a hell of a tangent, Pat. You've put me to shame.
It kind of was, it sort of wasn't a tangent because it all relates to what we're talking about tonight. Although I did do NBA basketball and Happy Days in the space of 7 minutes. So that's not bad, really, for a semi-tangent. Hey, thanks to all of you guys who support us through Patreon. We definitely rely on you guys to help us keep going, to help us get through. If you've watched us for a while, if you're a part of who we are in an audience sense and you want to be a part of who we are in a producer type sense, help us produce the show, patreon.com/Big Hairy News is the place to go. I can't say much more than thanks so much for what you guys do. There will be some changes coming to Patreon, basically good changes for you guys, because we acknowledge that we haven't given, like most professional places would run Patreon a bit better than we do. So we're going to pick up our game, and I'm thinking about some discounts for the store and et cetera, for people who are on various levels. So, thanks for being a patron. Patreon.com/Big Hairy News if you want to be a part of it. Speaking of merch, it's still up and running. We put all of the merch ordered last week onto couriers today. You haven't gotten emails yet because I haven't had time to send them out. So I will probably do those tomorrow. But if you made an order last week, it is on the courier today, which I'm assuming means you should see it within 2 or 3 days. bhnshop.nz. And remember, anyone who orders T-shirts, hoodies, or who orders the multi-pack of the stickers will also get thrown in the brand new sticker that we've made, which is We Are the Grassroots, which will probably also be becoming a T-shirt next month as well. So lots of things going on, along with potentially tax, work less, tax wealth more, and fuck around, find out. They're all potential ones that are coming up in the next few weeks. Sorry.
That's quite the preamble.
Just needed to take a breath there. I think because there's so much, there's like 3 stories, I think, surrounding the school lunches. It just makes sense to start there. It just makes sense to go to One News tonight. And, is there anything we want to mention in the chats before we get going? Oh, yeah, look, there's some super chats and stuff. Let's just get to some of these. Sorry, guys. Tiffany says, in today's news, liable group. Fun, is it liable?
Anyway, I always said LaBelle.
They are liable. In liquidation, Compass Group scrambles to cover ass. Luxon doubles down on Peters' American-style identity politics. Standard Tuesday in neo-lib hell. Better living, y'all. I feel like that could be a theme as well. You know how, actually, we haven't had it for a while about the worst person in the world. Better living, y'all might be quite a, it's a bit like our version of the 2 a year, right? We could do the better living, y'all. I like that. Says the short one, LOL, my mum voted National. Now she says she'll vote Greens. Wow. Something good at least. Also, as always, free Palestine. And we now know that's the Palestinian flag if you are watching in YouTube. Lux sucks, says the short one.
It's true. Can't even argue with that.
NZ Random says, act, don't do lunches because they are all replicants. Kiwi Bird, Luxon's War on Woke is pretty lame-o idea. Yeah, that was weird, wasn't it? Like, hello, Mean Girls wants their script back.
His whole day. Like, can the Prime Minister taking a swing at Wellington councils and calling them lame-o? Like, did he grab what's the guy's name? The guy that's literally run off to the Himalayas to escape consequences and questioning.
Yeah,
Bailey's insult book must have left it behind.
Or else I was just thinking, hey, the 90s want their script from Mean Girls backed. The danger of mouse, as much as I want to laugh about school lunches, it's not just my kids being affected. Yeah, that's the point. Like, there is a line between just being gleeful about this, because when it impacts people, that's the empathy that I suspect many on the left have that most on the right don't seem to have. I'm actually buying stocks now, says Riwai. Yeah, what about Tesla? Gosh, have you seen it just go down?
Oh, look,
as well?
Trump's social media stocks, they're in the toilet. Tesla's in the toilet. There's worldwide attacks on Tesla showrooms and protests and that sort of thing. I saw footage today on Reddit of literally 9 police officers in New York trying to defend a Cybertruck. Just one.
I
just
thought
one
Cybertrucks could
Cybertruck.
defend themselves. I thought they could just like get up on their rear wheels and go, and then they'd pretend to be tough, but then all the windows would smash, even though Elon said that they wouldn't.
And this is the thing with Tesla stock. It's so overinflated, and Elon's value is so closely tied to it. Like his net worth is his share portfolio. That, like, he's lost billions of dollars.
Yeah, he's still the richest man in the world. But
you know,
the good news. The good news is he's not going to become a trillionaire. I mean, it was looking like he could at one stage straight after the election when everything went through the roof, but there ain't no way. Speaking of Tesla, I'm just trying to find the tweet I put out today to get the exact numbers. But I had a look might have been on one of the news sites today. So here are the Tesla sales in New Zealand, September the 1st, 2022. Check that out. 1,554 Teslas were registered in that month. See how it kind of goes down. Think about the Tesla, like Tesla dealerships, Tesla everything that's in New Zealand. I mean, it's not as big as America, but how much money would they have to turn over to kind of be profitable in New Zealand? Well, November of last year, they sold 21 Teslas.
Tesla sales in Australia are down 74%.
Well, I mean, that's
Like,
well more than that, though, isn't it? I mean, that's 1,554 down to 21. So that's 5 a day down to 2 every 3 days. 5 a day? No, 50 a day. Sorry, 50 a day. 50 times 30 is 50. So that's 50 a day being registered. 21 is 2 registered every 3 days. That's Tesla sales in New Zealand. And the tweet that I put out was something like, hey, is there any Tesla stock owners out there? Got any comments about what's going on with your old mate Elon? Like, honestly, the board should remove him. He's detrimental to their product. He has a fiduciary responsibility to make money for the company, and he's not. They should remove him. The board should remove him. That's any other business, right? With any other CEO, if your actions saw a dramatic drop off like that, 50 sales a day to 2 sales every 3 days, you're gone. The board should remove him. That would actually be the responsible thing to do.
Can I just say that this week hasn't been great for Elon, and maybe we're unfairly piling on him. I mean, his stock price is down. His SpaceX rocket down. And Twitter last night was down. So, and that was amazing. So this is a guy that thinks he knows tech, right? There was a massive cyber attack. I have no doubt it was a cyber attack, but he very clearly said it went down from a massive cyber attack. He immediately blamed Ukraine. And he said this proof for that was that it came from a Ukrainian IP. Now, this is a man that says that he knows tech. He should know how fucking easy and how elementary it is for hackers to hide their IPs and where in the world they are.
Yeah,
but he immediately pointed that at a country that has been very critical of him, who he thinks should give up the war because they'll never lose it. He's been picking fights with a Polish, maybe the Polish Prime Minister or something like that. when they were talking about Starlink, and Poland pointed out the fact, well, actually, we pay for a bunch of Ukraine's Starlinks. So it's not an American donation. The Polish people are paying for it because we support Ukraine. And Elon's response to that was to call him a stupid little small man. And then astronaut and combat veteran Senator Mark Kelly mentioned that he still supports Ukraine, and Elon called him a traitor.
It's jumped the shark time. It will happen. I reckon it will happen. I mean, the first term with Trump, everyone was like, "Oh, this is finally it," and it wasn't it. Grab him by the pussy. Oh, this is finally it, and it wasn't it. You know, all of these things, but it's exponentially worse. And one of the reasons it's exponentially worse is what's going to happen to Americans' wallets. So there you go. Tiffany says, saw a swastika 2 days back. Hard not to be violent. Another one, Tiffany. There was a PM that had no clue, and Lamo was his name. Lameo, to the tune of bingo. Mr. Arnold says, what I would say to you is Lamo. Remember, he's supposed to be the marketing guy. Should imagine getting this guy to come up with your slogan if he comes up with Lamo. Really good at slogans. LOL. Sorry, Chewie, I'll cut you off.
I was just going to say, talking about the attacks on Teslas and stuff like that. I just want to be very clear that I really see where people are coming at from that. But not everybody can just go out and get a new car at the drop of a hat. Like there's the stories up in Auckland of Teslas being vandalized, and other EVs that might look like Teslas, like Polestars, getting vandalized by some guy. Look, if it was me and I was up to no good and wanted to say something against Tesla, dealerships are probably the better way to go, rather than people's private vehicles that they bought maybe before Elon lost his mind. Not that I'm suggesting you go out and do that. That would be bad and wrong. But yeah,
I mean, I think to be fair, in New Zealand, I mean, like, I can understand why people are making the protests in America, because it directly impacts Americans, the stuff that Elon is doing. I see a fair few Teslas around the streets of Dunedin, and it's like, it's an electric car. They bought them. Buying a Tesla in New Zealand doesn't necessarily mean, I support everything Elon's doing. In America, it's a different story. So, I would disencourage anyone from sabotaging or damaging any of that property in New Zealand, because ultimately what you'll hurt is not the richest man in the world, but, as you said, Chewie, the owner of the vehicle, or perhaps the worker in the dealership. Those are the things that will miss out first.
I think there's a big chunk of Tesla owners in New Zealand that are definitely regretting the car that they drive.
Sure.
I know of a couple that have put them up for sale, and they've got the ready cash to go out and buy a new car. I know of 3 that have done that. There's a lot of people out there that bought the car because it is a good car, and it's good for the environment, and it's still doing that. It doesn't mean that they're signing up.
But also
it's the same, which is just crazy.
But the reality with Tesla at the moment now is they are no longer the market leader like they once were. I mean, I drive a VW. You drive a Hyundai. Kia is probably out there as one of the market leaders. We are EV people. And at one stage, I mean, we've had this conversation, and I was like, we're talking a year ago. I'd be like, I'd be up for a Tesla, because they felt so further advanced than any other EV. Not now. Like, now they're just an average EV. So now they don't have that strength of, BYD, says Kiwi. I'd get a BYD, those seals. So I just don't think, at one stage they had a stranglehold on the market because they were so much beyond everybody else. They're no longer. So people won't be drawn to them like they were, because every brand has fun, gimmicky games now if you want to have it. So they've lost that slice. So they don't have the same stranglehold.
I think Tesla and Elon are a valid target, because, even if we are insulated somewhat here in New Zealand, because the man is trying to dismantle big chunks of the government of one of the most powerful countries, and certainly most heavily armed countries in the world. the effect that they've had on the stock market is already starting to hurt people's Kiwi savers. So we are not insulated.
Yep, no,
Not
New Zealand
insulated
tumbled.
at all.
Yep, no, you're true. And Tiffany says again, look, fair enough. It hurts us all. America sets tone. Yep, I mean, I'm the one that said this for the last 3 years of the show. When America sneezes, the world catches a cold. I get it. I just wonder in New Zealand if the best protest is to damage someone who bought a Model 3 years ago, and that's how you stick it to Elon. I mean, you do you, boo. You do you, boo. Look, I learned my lesson the other day talking about the protests at the State of the Union. Especially because I've been watching some other commentators as well, and some of the stuff we didn't talk about that night. One of the things where there was actually amongst the Democrats on that night, tangent time, amongst the Democrats on that night, 10 of the Democrats sided with the Republicans, shouting down that Democratic congressman. And the point being made was, well, when Marjorie Taylor Greene got up and screamed at Biden, none of those people sided with the other side. It was like what was one voice. So I'm going to offer some gentle
trying
thoughts
to build
sometimes.
bridges with these people.
Yeah.
Like this flows on to here, right? The Democrats trying to build consensus and sort of show, oh, look, I agree with you, Republicans. Look at me, I'm the good one. I'm that sort of nonsense needs to stop. And I had the same criticism here where it comes to sort of Labour of like, stop trying to be palatable to people that would consider voting national. Now, maybe they see a strategy in that and like, oh, we've got to get the middle. We've got to get the middle. But you're not buying loyalty from those people.
Yeah.
And around the world, we're seeing left-leaning politicians, left-leaning parties get absolutely punished by their base.
Yeah.
For daring to even dip their toe in that. Like people are seeing that there is a real factual difference in left or right. And if the guys in the middle don't get it, well, I say leave them to it. But I see the difference.
Yeah, we've been talking about Labour needing a bit more mongrel, that kind of thing. It's like stop shaking hands and start maybe shaking fists occasionally. Just shaking though. Hey, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us in our 28-minute
introduction. 28 minutes of rambling preamble that was definitely not planned and had no form or structure, but that's how we work.
We had this idea that when we did buffers that they would never come back. So in other words, they were exclusive at the time. I think Tino will be with us for a long time, Tino Ngatiratanga. How do you feel, Chewie, about the idea about bringing Rainbow Buffer back?
Rainbow Pride, absolutely. Like if Tino's there, then Rainbow Pride has to be there, because those are the ones where it really counts to have buffers, right?
Yeah. Yes, valid. Maybe that means, therefore, if we're going to do some enamel pins, which is going to be planned, maybe we'll have to do a Tino one and a Rainbow one for the buffers.
For those of you that follow me on Blue Sky, you might have noticed.
Are you on Blue Sky?
I am on Blue Sky.
How many followers have you got now? How many followers? Because you've been on there for a lot longer than me. How many followers have you got for being on there for so much longer than me?
Yeah, all right, give me a fucking
How many is it? I think I've got 210. I'm sure. I've got 210.
Oh, you bitch. 1.8k. 1.8k. Maybe you're more palatable to the electorate rather than my like. Here's a picture of a guillotine. Let's start feeding people into it. What I was going to say,
you're saying I'm lukewarm, am I? I'm sloppy and in the middle, am I?
Yes, absolutely. What I was trying to say, and it feels like I've been trying to say for the last 10 minutes. I have a new and continuing series on Blue Sky, which is all caps, not a drag queen. And whenever someone makes the news for abusing children, I'm just putting that up. I've been doing it for like less than a week, and I've already got like 4 not a drag queens up there. The latest one being disgraced former knight Ron Brierley, who got out of jail because he's too old and decrepit to apparently serve his sentence for having a laptop.
He does look like a character from Lord of the Rings, doesn't he?
Doesn't he? It's one of the cave trolls. He got arrested in an airport for having a laptop fair seething with child sex abuse images. But he goes, he's old and he's decrepit. We're going to let him out because we can't possibly look after him in prison. He's been caught again. with no
There's
images.
another one.
So
There's
straight to
another
jail at that point. Yep. That's a prison officer who worked in a the sex abuse special unit. And there you go, child sex offender. And then another one, a middle-aged white man, a lawyer. He's been struck off for being a pedophile. All three of them, you'll notice, none of them are fabulous drag queens.
Can't we just
I'm
do
I'm sure Destiny will get around to them.
But can't we just do this?
Sure.
Can't we just find people who are associated with Destiny? One comes to mind straight away, and just constantly post that one, link it to Destiny, and say not a drag queen. Because like, how many people who have been through Destiny have been convicted of that sort of thing versus drag queens? I'd like to like those stats as well. All right.
Oh, there was that. No, there wasn't. No, there wasn't. There has been a drag queen convicted of child sex offences ever in New Zealand, to the best of my knowledge. So I keep looking. Hasn't happened.
So anyway, guys, school lunches. Let's have a look at the story starting on One News with Melissa Stokes.
The Healthy School Lunch program is far from healthy. One of the main suppliers going bust today. LaBelle Group.
I put a tweet out today, Chewie, and I went, the government pays $3 for school lunches. Compass has to take, pardon the pun, a bite. LaBelle Group takes a bite. That's the profit, I mean. They need profit there. They then pay their staff to put the lunches together, and then they buy the food and deliver it. And they wonder why a company's gone bankrupt. $3. Profit for Compass, profit for LaBelle, paying of the workers to make the lunches and the food itself. $3. So I've been generous saying, oh, they're probably $2 meals. No, they're probably 50-cent meals. The meals, the actual food in the meals, probably costs them 50 cents. Because I'm sorry, there's like the other layer of things on top. And remember, this is the private industry. Then there's a profit margin at the top. Because that's why business do business.
Like some of these meals have literally just been Waddy's ready meals, like they're purchased, I guess, in bulk or just from Waddy's or a supermarket. And you get those in a supermarket for $3.75.
Yeah.
So
they'll be buying them in bulk for $1.80 or something.
Yeah.
All right, we'll keep going.
Which provides 125,000 meals a day, has gone into liquidation, just the latest issue to hit the controversial scheme. The opposition says it's a mess and another supplier inevitable. But David Seymour, the minister in charge, isn't eating his words, insisting... So
this is the jump the shark moment in New Zealand. How on earth can anyone, I don't care if you are the ACT supporter from day one and you've donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to them, how anyone can believe David Seymour when he says that this is still going well and there's no real problems, how anyone can believe that. This is what we're talking about when you say jump the shark. The story is so implausible, people will be turning away.
There's no cause for alarm. Here's senior political reporter Benedict Collins.
This is one of the companies the government backed to deliver more than 120,000 school lunches a day to hungry kids. Now, it's gone belly up.
LaBelle has been struggling for a while. Their concern was around the ability to be able to pay wages and pay suppliers.
Because that's one of the $3 a meal, paying wages and paying the people who are giving you the food. That's two parts of that before you get to the profit. And they think there's not enough money, Chewie. So they're saying that's not enough money to feed children. Crazy. I think that's far more than they need, but they're saying not enough money to feed children. Crazy.
Today, liquidation.
How bad is this development with LaBelle? I don't think it's bad. I actually think in the long term it's very good.
What?
Now, this is now called gaslighting. Gaslighting is when the person will try and you convince that black is white and wet is dry. So what you're seeing right now is the definition of gaslighting. I'm just going to go back a little bit because we need to hear him say again that this is actually good.
With LaBelle. I don't think it's bad. I actually think in the long term it's very good. There's some sensitive commercial matters being worked through.
What got them into trouble here?
If I start judging what got them into trouble, then I'm going to be...
Oh, Mr. Seymour. Oh, at the back. Mr. Seymour at the back. Oh, please. At the back. Yes, man in the blue cap. Is it that you need to pay more than $3 a meal to feed children? I'll wait. Yeah. No.
Actually, Pat, the ACT Party has always been against minimum wage, and if we didn't have a minimum wage, then we'd be able to get it done.
Yeah. Okay.
And children should be fed by the state.
Disrupting some pretty sensitive negotiations.
Was it the school lunch program?
Well, again, I'm not going to start deciding or telling what got who in trouble.
A promise kids won't miss out on their lunches.
The quality will improve, the volume will be maintained.
It seems the government's known.
Just quietly, right? We'll find out over the next 24. These guys do 125,000 meals a day. How a company can go into liquidation and then Compass start scrambling because they have the contract, these are subcontractors, to be able to just smoothly and calmly continue with 125,000 meals. I don't see this going well. It's interesting that Seymour also said this is quite good for the long term. In the short term, kids, you might be screwed for several weeks, but in the long term, it's not looking too bad.
For several months, all wasn't well.
Were you aware that Labelle was in financial difficulties?
Chewie, this is fantastic. You see, let's play a game together, right? Here's the game. It's called Listen to the Minister of Education. David Seymour's boss in the portfolio of education. Listen to what she says. Here's the game. Whānau watching, here's the game. See if you can hear her say at any time and in any way that David Seymour has communicated with her directly. Right? Play a game. See if anyone can pick it. Has David Seymour spoken to his boss in education about this? Because she's about to be asked, what has he said? See if you can pick it. I'm interested to look at it as well. I haven't seen it all myself. We'll see if David Seymour says it. You ready? Here we go.
Were you aware that Labelle was in financial difficulties?
Look, one of the things that Minister Seymour had updated me on a little while ago was that there were some difficulties there. I didn't know the complete and utter full extent.
Has he not
Little while ago. Okay, that's not too bad. But she didn't know the full extent.
given you the full picture?
No, he has been updating the Prime Minister, and I have known that there are some issues around Labelle, but in terms of what's happened today, I didn't know it was quite at that point.
He has been updating the Prime Minister, and I didn't know what was going on until today. So, did we land in the game, guys? Has the Minister for Education heard from David Seymour, the Associate Minister or Assistant Minister or, don't know, Drama Minister, about what was going on? The answer is no. He has not been in contact with her. Yeah. She found out through the Prime Minister and through the media releases would be my bet, Chewie.
I mean, I get it. You're a big politics boy, and you've done very well in coalition negotiation, and sometimes you get to be the acting Prime Minister as well, which is very good for the portfolio. And you're a party leader, which puts you on the same level as the other party leaders, old mate Winston and Luxon man. So why would he stoop to talk to Erica Stanford, the boss of one of his portfolios? It's very confusing. You can't be both the leader at the tippy top and have someone above you. You can't, especially if it's a woman. Your brain explodes. So you don't do it anymore. You just don't do it anymore.
The woman card. Yep.
Well, look, ACT is hardly the party for women, is it? Is it, Pat?
I would agree. I would agree.
Like, you can have all the pink ties in the world. It doesn't make ACT the women's party, does it? No. Right. The other thing that I want to mention, and we can come back to this if you want to, because I realize it's a bit of a swerve here. but at a time of your choosing, Pat, I want to go back to the start of the video. It's something that you've mentioned before, how in the media scrum, they're not all reporters. And I want to have a look at the chap that's behind Seymour's shoulder. We can do this at the end if you wish.
All right. Well, let's get to the end of the story, shall we?
At that point.
A school lunch supplier who lost 80% of her business to LaBelle says it was inevitable.
I think that they took on something too big, too large, the scope. It was almost unrealistic.
So this is obviously a company that was doing the job, a small company, small local company doing the job, as far as we know, perfectly before this nightmare of a scenario came up that they thought they could centralize everything and make it work. Remember, better food, cheaper. That's what Seymour said.
To be able to cover the whole of the country at the price point that it was, and just the logistics that's involved is just overwhelming. And so I think that they just kind of bit off more than they could chew.
The new school lunch program has been plagued by mishaps. Last week, a student burnt by a superheated school lunch.
I've even apologised and written a card to one young boy who was affected by poor service.
So that's a very important way he's worded that. I've apologised to one young boy who was affected by, quote unquote, poor service. You mean the kid that got second-degree burns, David? That guy, affected by poor service.
No, we minimise that, Pat. We don't speak of the reality.
And as I said, TV3 have a picture of it, and I will show that to you after we do this clip.
School lunch.
I've even apologised and written a card to one young boy who was affected by poor service. So, you know, obviously there's been problems.
Many believe there's an easy fix.
It's really clear that the government could decide to revert back to the program that was previously rolled out quite successfully, and that, was supporting.
Although, Chewie, the serious point now, this mirrors the government pulling out of, for example, Kind Order housing, that many of these companies, some of these companies no longer exist. So they may not be there.
They killed them.
But that's what I'm saying. So if they tried to go back, some of the people and companies that were providing those meals no longer exist. Just like all those builders going to Australia because there's no Kind Order houses to be built, once the economy picks back up again, aren't going to be there. So I agree with what Chloe, we always agree, because we're just basically sellouts for the left. We always agree with Chloe. But I agree with the point she's making right now. They could do that, except they're going to struggle because many of the places no longer exist. So you couldn't actually go straight back. You could go back theoretically to what was done, but you'd probably still have to find some new providers. So it's not quite as simple as that, unfortunately, thanks to these guys who are the anti-Midas in New Zealand politics.
Local businesses where whānau, where kids knew those who were providing their lunches.
Christopher Luxon still backing Minister Seymour's program.
What will it take for him to finally step in and fix the mess his government has made of the school lunches program, particularly given the one minister who actually seems to want to get it sorted out, Erica Stanford, is being ignored by David Seymour?
Again, this is a minister that's working incredibly hard through some very challenging
incredibly
issues,
hard. Very challenging. Working very hard.
And yet fresh problems keep on being served up.
Chewie, let's go commentary first of all, then we'll go back and look at your thing. Something interesting that I got messaged today. I won't say who it's from because I haven't told them I was going to share it, but someone who is pretty astute in the world of politics. Right Honourable Chris Hipkins said, what will it take for him to finally step in? We've just seen it, fix the mess, yada yada. One minister who actually seems to want to sort it out, Erica Stanford, is being ignored by David Seymour, right? That's what we've just seen. My anonymous source will say this. This framing is so bad. Erica Stanford could be the Prime Minister in a few months. Why is Labour framing her as a caring minister, struggling to help the kids against indifferent men? The reality is she is exercising no leadership over a huge issue in her portfolio and clearly has no willingness to exercise control over her associate minister, which I think is a really interesting point.
Yeah,
and I could have just owned that. Point. I could have just owned that for myself, but anonymous person might be watching, and
So imagine if Hipkins had stood up and basically taken that line of like, this school lunch is a train crash that just won't stop crashing. He could chuck in a cheap shot there about someone involved with the ACT Party harming young boys. He could go, there is nobody coming to help these kids, even the Minister of Education. Yeah. She wants no part of this. She does not want to solve the problem. Her most challenging angle at this point is how to make sure that these exploding superheated school lunches don't land on her lap.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to be tainted with association with it. But at the end of the day, she's the head of the portfolio, and in education, David Seymour defers to her.
Mm-hmm.
She could roll up her sleeves and fucking do something about it.
We're probably looking at Erica Stanford's version of Christopher Luxon's treaty principles bill. He wants to distance himself as far away from that as possible, and it's turned him into a spineless jellyfish. I wonder if Erica Stanford wants to distance herself as far away from these lunches as possible. I mean, we've seen her say, well, you need to talk to David about that. Well, you need to talk to David about that. Now when the shit's hit the fan and David needs to be talking to her, she's kind of absolved responsibility. I wonder if it's a double-edged sword, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's also a failure of the media, which is, again, one of our favourite topics. Of like, you have been asking her now for a couple of weeks. So now the questions have to change to, when are you going to show decisive leadership in your portfolio with your subordinate?
Yep.
Because it's not changing. It hasn't changed. We're 3 months into the school year. Like, this hasn't got better. It has actively got worse. It has killed businesses. It has hurt children. It is not working. And it is delivering, like David Seymour's favorite thing, it is delivering poor value to the taxpayer. We are paying money for this and getting bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to get to the story later on tonight about schools, because this is the reality, yeah? We got told by this current government when they were in opposition, they were so very critical of the last government. Remember, we will measure them by the standards they set for the last lot, of the waste that that Luxon's crew in opposition was saying was happening under Labor. The waste that's happening now is exponentially worse. And we'll show you a story later on that. Chewie, though, let's have a look at do you want to have a look at the media scrum?
Exactly this. Is this chap with the caterpillar on his lip and the very greasy unwashed hair, is he an ACT intern? He's definitely not a reporter. He's just right behind Seymour as he comes out, and he holds up the phone to get Seymour's statement recorded.
Why do you say he's definitely not a reporter, just out of interest?
An iPhone rather than a microphone, and behind the minister,
just so you know, lots of reporters will do that.
None of the good ones. If you can't afford a microphone with a pop sock on it, I don't trust you. But if you go back to where Seymour walks out, he's right there as Seymour walks up, right?
Okay.
Like you have pointed this out with Seymour before, that there is always someone behind him recording what he's saying, and I think that's so they can review it.
Yeah, well, the other thing is,
I don't think he's a reporter.
The mainstream media picked up on this weeks after we said. Remember, I talked about he wears a mic. Remember, I showed you the mic, because it's the same mics that we were using at Waitangi, those DJI Bluetooth mics. And then after his speech at Waitangi, we pointed this out in January. We pointed out when he came out into a protest and basically said his things, then he left. And that's because he's often mic'd up for that exact thing, so they can then use the footage and use the audio as they want. But yeah, maybe coming out of the house, they're not so much like that, maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Complete side issue. I just remember you mentioning it, and I think it's interesting.
Let's get to some super chats, and then we're going to continue on, because the next bit is going to have two parts to it. We're going to have a look at the TV3, the end of the story they showed about the school lunches, because it's got that image of the second-degree burns, and it's got Jenna Lynch pushing a bit harder on on Seymour They all look the same. About his flippant nature about a kid with second-degree burns, and then it goes into the war on woke with Luxon. So we'll do that one next. Oh god, where's my mouse gone? There it is. Oh, Tiffany, mate, you're not drinking or something, eh? I mean it the nicest possible way, but you've been pretty active on the super chats tonight. You can just do a normal chat as well. But thank you. Tiffany says, just to say, all this love for Luigi. Just imagine if you were the one that did Elon. Oh gosh, I haven't pre-read that. That's pretty heavy. Instant God of the people. Yeah, we can't endorse that publicly.
You can't endorse it, but you can say that it's been on Elon's mind a lot lately.
Yeah, I wonder how he feels about his safety.
So you never saw Elon with any of his kids publicly until literally the day after Luigi whacked that guy.
Mm.
And then suddenly he's wearing his kid like a fucking flak jacket.
Oh yeah,
it was so obvious.
Well, if human shields work for Israel, it work for Elon as well.
Yeah. Look, I'm just saying, your average 4 or 5 year old is not going to stop a 45 caliber bullet at close range. That's all I'm going to say.
All right. Compass did get an extra 8.9 million earlier this year when they admitted they couldn't make the bigger meals for years 9 to 13 for $3.
What, they can't make a Marmite sandwich and put an apple in a bag?
Avasta. Thank you for your super chat, $10. When Seymour and Luxon end up in a rest home, I hope the children of today remember who they are when the food trolley comes round. Yep, like that. Very good. Kiwi Bird pays $3 a meal, wonders why LaBelle went bust exactly. Amosy, that's a very generous super chat. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Amosy
damn.
says, I always miss you live due to work. Work sucks. What you need to do is get a job like we've got, where we have to be here while we're live because this is our job. Is that right? Have I got that right? Anyway,
that's
I always miss you due to live due to work, so I missed out on the community chat, which sucks. But today, yay, big late fee. Oh, very generous, Amosy. Are we going with Amosy, Chewie? Are you going to help me out with that? Amosy?
Yeah, Amosy.
Or
yeah.
we could do like a LEG, Mossy, something like that, maybe. Anyway, Arvid says, breaking, French company LaBelle goes le bust. The danger of mouse. Cheap plug for Western Community Centre. We have a fruit and veg co-op, $15 bags worth about $25 because we are volunteers doing it for our community. Good on you, dude. Brother Monk, I have a feeling we will see many on the right of politics say that government-funded school lunches does not work because that's the point, create issues to make it not work. Yes, we've said this a million times. The right sit in opposition, they point at government, they say government doesn't work, then they get into government and they implement policies to break government, and then they can step back and go, see, we told you all along it didn't work, and then it's privatization or cancellation. Chewie.
I got to put this up because there are so many good memes about Elon using children as human shields. Do you have to remove that? Do I have to do that? There we go. So for the audio podcasts or people with no eyes, it's a Photoshop meme from the Boys comic book. Where they put Elon's face on it, and he has strapped 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 babies to his body, and he's saying, "You can't shoot me, you can't tase me, you can't gas me, you can't even knock me down, not with something so fragile and very precious going squish." And he's got enough kids to do that if he just gathers up the ones that still talk to him.
Yeah, and more every day. Tiffany says, "Hope Winnie just says nah and hangs the government." Yeah, I mean, it's possible. He's sort of done it before. Actors done a lot of apologising to young boys, says Kiwi Bird. Riwai says, if Luxon had another brain, it would be lonely, for fuck's sake. Hadron Collider. I got it right. You weren't here the other night, were you? I got it wrong. Hadron.
Forever in my heart, Hadron Collider.
It is called the responsible minister for a reason, and Seymour will use Erica as his scapegoat. Yep.
That's the battle. She doesn't want to be one, and the best thing is that she just clocks out on the whole thing, which is a poor reflection on her as well.
Because I care, Dick Moore's plan all along. Dick Moore, I've heard it before. Too expensive and dangerous for children now. Let's scrap it. Yeah, too dangerous. Yeah, no, these kids have been getting burnt, second-degree burns, so maybe we should cancel it from their schools. We're only thinking about their safety. That's all. And Tiffany again, my gosh, not drunk, just neuro-spicy and mad, LOL.
That's how I live.
All right, let's keep going because this does lead into the topic again. As I said, this is school lunches, but I just wanted to show you the burn. And it's, if you're a parent, you've seen worse. It's pretty icky though, but it's also seeing how flippant Seymour appears, in my opinion, about it. And then we do go into the conversation about Luxon supporting fucking Winston's war on woke. Here we go.
LaBelle Group is a member of the School Lunch Collective alongside Compass Group NZ and Gilmore's.
School Lunch Collective does sound like a podcast though, just between me and you.
This is what we were sold.
And the process that helped deliver nutritious and delicious lunches to our students Monday to Friday.
And this is what was delivered.
There you go. So that is what one of the children suffered at the hands of Seymour's plan. Apparently,
it's a pretty nasty steam burn.
It's a pretty nasty steam burn. Apparently, I'll just go back a little bit. Apparently, the meal exploded. It was volcanically hot. So we'll keep going.
And this is what was delivered. A second-degree burn to a student after his lunch exploded, and melted plastic for lunch at Murchison Area School after someone turned the ovens up too high.
Mr. Seymour had said there would be no more of those containers used, and that came through. And then the very next day, we still got some.
It's understood the meals served in plastic were sent out after LaBelle failed to deliver on the meals it said it would.
It's fair to say that throughout the term, we've been keeping our options open, and we've got to a stage now where we're able to be a bit more positive about the future.
Backup plan with them because you could see it was going wrong.
We always keep our options open.
Seymour striking a much different tone today than his dismissive defence mode yesterday.
There's been one child that was briefly admitted to A&E, and that's why I say, you can...
Just look at the smile as he says that. I mean, one would think anyone with an ounce of intelligence, empathy, political smarts would understand that what they're talking about is a child being at A&E. What he's messaging to the public is this could be your child. And he's just got that goofy rimmer smirk on his face the whole time.
Seymour striking a much different tone today than his dismissive defence mode yesterday.
There's been one child that was briefly admitted to A&E, and that's why I say, you can...
Are you brushing that off as not a problem?
No, I'm not doing that at all. You can catastrophise as much as you like.
Hang on. So, reporting that a child has received second degree, that sounds like a bit of a catastrophe to me. Second degree burns that removed the skin from their arm, we saw it, and had to go to hospital, to A&E. Reporting on that catastrophe, Seymour says, you can catastrophize it if you want. I mean, that feels like maybe that would be the appropriate time to catastrophize something. Like it's not like someone had a butterfly land on their hand and they're talking about that kid might have to go into hospital. That would be catastrophizing. If they had to go to hospital and went to hospital, that's just reporting, Mr. Seymour.
There's something very wrong and very broken with David Seymour. Like it's a lack of empathy. Like whenever he's talking to the press, and look, I get it. You're a politician. You there's a battle going on there. But when you can't even muster up a convincing amount of human empathy towards a child that got burned, like it's the whole thing of like, we sent him a card. Really? Have you spoken to like? I've spoken, like, it would be more genuine to go, look, I've spoken to him, I've checked with his school, his parents, that sort of thing, just making sure that he's all right. I don't want to talk about this anymore because of the privacy of the child. That would have more integrity than what we saw in that clip just then, where it's clearly not about the child. It's clearly not about kids getting fed or getting fed healthy food safely. It's about this is his program. and he's angry that the press is calling him on how badly it's going. That's what's on his mind, is I have to have my shields up. So any sort of space I get to go, oh, look, it's just catastrophizing everything. No. Your program and the suppliers that you have chosen against expert advice, against their own previous experience or reputation for the same sort of thing, have injured a child, directly injured a child.
Yeah, if you're a proper leader and you realise that the buck stopped with you, then ultimately that child being burned, the ultimate buck stopper is actually Luxon. Luxon takes responsibility for it. A decent CEO in a company that has some kind of community values, the CEO would be out there going, I take responsibility. We're going to sort this out. This is my bad. Like you said, I've been in touch with the parents. I've offered them, some I don't know, we have free healthcare in New Zealand. It's not like America, but I've offered them, whatever they need to help the child out. We've sent them a care package and da-da-da-da-da. And fucking his response is, oh, you can catastrophize it if you want. Come on. All right, we'll keep going that way or else we'll just keep talking about him.
The policy has been plagued with problems ever since Seymour cut its cost, favouring mass-produced hot meals over local providers with bespoke meals like sushi.
Oh, look, if you don't get that sushi's woke, I don't know how to wake you up.
And having fought the war on woke sushi, some of the government's now moving on to the woke public workforce. The first has pitched a members' bill that would change the Public Service Act to remove any mention of diversity in hiring.
New Zealanders want some plain common sense restored to government.
Taking a leaf out of the most populist of playbooks.
And our country will be woke no longer.
And the PM sounds a bit keen.
When we took the keys to the place, it was pretty woke.
Judith Collins, yes, this Judith Collins.
Oh, is there something wrong with me being white?
Is currently in charge of reforming the public service.
I am the least woke person, possibly because I'm already well awake. And so consequently, I think the public service reforms that we've got coming will be heartily rejoiced about.
We want to make sure that everything is done on the basis of meritocracy.
The PM perhaps implying some who've been hired haven't been hired for talent.
And I think it is important to presume.
I wonder, for example, if you were a 33-year-old bank teller and all of a sudden you were put into a position to be the Minister of Health, I wonder if that is being hired on merit, or is it a DEI hire? Maybe they needed someone who was sub 5'1" to get their quotas up or something, Chewie, because this bullshit is nothing but, because to have a politician, to have a fucking board member be Prime Minister and talk about meritocracy and only having the right credentials in the right place, when politicians of all people in society are the ones who are never qualified to do it. I mean, say what you will about Shane Retty. He had an MD after his name. He was a doctor. Now a bank teller is running health. Meritocracy? Please, bitch.
I love it when they talk about meritocracy, because the unsaid portion of that is the reason that okay, let's be honest, mediocre white businessmen all end up in leadership positions is because somehow they are better than any other candidate. Can you look at Luxon's performance? Can you look at Seymour's performance? Can you look at Simeon Brown's performance and go, yes, I can see why you're in the position that you're in. You are very good at this. You can't. And for Judith Collins to stand there and somehow miss the point that as a woman in Parliament, you don't have to go back very far before that was the same argument we're having now about brown people, or the fact that because we might sort of go, hey, isn't there a benefit to having more women in the room, more representative people of our population in the decision-making parts of our government, that there's a benefit to that. No, the Treaty of Waitangi will be fine if we only have white people commenting on it. White European men. Let's get things back. Let's get New Zealand back on track.
Just
the hairlines back.
To make sure that the National Party in this government is an equal opportunity DEI hire, because you could actually have a female whose specialists are honours degrees in English and languages also run finance. That could be another thing that meritocracy wouldn't line those two positions up. So I'm just saying, politicians, please don't ever put out there that you think this world should be a meritocracy, when if we actually had politicians who were suited to the portfolios they had, we would have a very different country, country.
I am just sick of the National Party specifically being some work experience program for an old boys network of very, very average white dudes.
Yeah.
They are not good at this. They don't have the experience. They have failed upwards. They haven't created anything. Like, I would rather have one of these national MPs that come from a farming background. At least they fucking did something. Like, I massively disagree with the positions that they take at times, but at least they did something, and they might have some experience in the farming industry. They might have a perspective that is valuable. What has Luxon done? What has Simeon Brown brought to the table?
Yep.
Nothing.
Okay, we're gonna get to the end of this because we need to.
And I think it is important to presume that the people who have been appointed are being appointed for their merit.
Can you give us an example of where meritocracy hasn't occurred? Can you give us an example of where someone...
Because you can't.
Simeon Brown, what about Nicola Willis? You know, I can give you a few.
Has been hired into a role.
Christopher Luxon.
And they shouldn't have been.
Yeah, I'm just going to say to you, we have a piece of work underway around the Public Service Act. Judith Collins is a new minister working with a new Public Services Commissioner.
That came nowhere near answering the question.
Yes, there you go, Chewie.
Can we talk about Luxon being so qualified for his role that he does not have a portfolio? He hasn't got an area of responsibility, apart from his own ministers, which he can't control. That is not a meritocracy.
The one thing you could say about politicians is they are elected. So whether they're qualified or not, people have put them there. But if we wanted to be generous and say that for them, what about then all the appointments they've made to boards, all the appointments they've made to do, to do a report, for example, Bill English on Kying Order, those sorts of things. Where's the meritocracy there? I've been a prime minister. How does that make you an expert in social housing? You know what I mean? It's like, let's just not play this game. And unfortunately, we've used this phrase a few times today, the jump the shark, that eventually the story gets so ridiculous it becomes overtly obvious that these guys are full of it. They have no narrative to tell. We're not there yet with this conversation in this community. We might be getting there with school lunches, but with this conversation, DEI, there's enough people out there who buy into this bullshit, who believe this bullshit, that we're not at the jump the shark moment yet, and that's a problem, Chewie.
Yeah. Like, the thing with DEI is always like, oh, they're picking someone because of their race over their ability. Well, I'm sorry, that's what you've got now. Without DEI, you can't tell me that just because of the color of your skin or the school that you went to or the old boys network that you fucking have, that you are better than somebody else that has a more relevant work experience or life position or that sort of thing. Like, it's just foolish. And for Winston throwing this out is one thing. It's fucking Winston. You know, he's got on the port and he's hammered something out in social media, and a smart leader, someone who was good at politics, would have gone, you know what? I'm not going to fucking touch that. I know that Judith is working on something better for her to talk about it, whatever. Completely removed from anything that old drunk Winston has said.
Well, listen.
But this is Luxon walking into yet another landmine.
I sent you a tweet this evening, Chewie. I mean, a text. Did you get it?
Oh, yes. Who you'd like to invite? onto the show.
Just for people to know, because often people say to us, why don't you talk to the government? Why do you only have your echo chamber going? So tonight, again, we approached Luxon, Winston Peters, David Seymour, Nicola Willis, Erica Stanford, wondering if they would come on. They have stopped responding to us altogether. We used to get a polite decline. Now we tend to get nothing. Chewie, is there anyone else on that list? Should we try Simeon? Simeon Brown?
Simeon? Tama Potaka?
Tama as well? Okay, we'll go for some of those. Because what I was going to say is...
Oh, and our glorious, very, very much fronting the media at all times, Minister for the South Island. We would love to have him on the show. What is it, James Meager?
Where's the South Island again?
It's the place that you're currently in.
So that's like so the world doesn't stop at Wellington.
Well, it might do. It depends on how the ferries go. But
no, because what I was going to say is the first question is, Mr. Luxon, imagine I'm a 5-year-old. It's not hard with me. Could you explain woke to me, please? Could you explain that? What is woke?
Did you see Winston's tweet the other day?
I did not.
About this. Okay. I'm going to have to log into Twitter, aren't I?
I can do it.
Give me. Have a look at Winston's thing. I found my. It was so dumb it made me log in. Okay, so I'm not going to put it up on screen. I'm just going to read it. A number of people have recently been asking what we mean when we say woke. Very good question, says Winston. Definition of woke. Adjective 1. A state of awareness only achieved by politically correct fascists who are dumb enough to find injustice in everything and other than their own behavior and believe that they have the right to harass and lecture others about how they should think. 2. Any out-of-touch, pearl-clutching virtual signaler who cannot define what a woman is. That is what we need by woke. Okay, so your argument, Winston, is so strong that you can't even just go to a dictionary and get the definition of woke because it's very accurate. You've had to fucking make one up. This is the dumbest thing.
How much do you want to? Here's the thing. How much do you want to bet that if you asked Winston about this tweet, he would have no clue because he wouldn't go near Twitter. Someone will be doing it for him. So if you asked him that question and he went, "What are you talking about?" I mean, well, just give us the definition. Like, I tell you a story. Tangent. The number 2. I can't remember his name, but the number 2 for New Zealand First came on one of my radio shows when I was working for ZB, and I kind of tried to. I was being a bit mean to him from New Zealand First, and New Zealand First had like 10 principles. And I said to him, do you know what the 10 principles are? And like, what's number 10? And he didn't know any of them. And I got to a point where I just went, okay, fair enough. I'm being a bit mean. What's number 1? What's the number 1 principle that New Zealand First lives by? Your number 1. And he didn't know. And do you know what it is or what it was, Chewie?
The leader is always correct.
To make New Zealand first. That was the number 1. And he didn't know because they do things like this. Other people do them, other people write them, and they have no idea. And as crazy as it sounds, I would love to ask Christopher Luxon, hey, what is a woman? Not because I care about the answer, but I'd like to actually see him go into conniptions and have all of those people on the right realize that no one would answer that question and no one can answer that question. It would be hilarious.
So as far as this fucking worm brain tweet that he's put out, of course, if you're just going to make up a fake definition, people will just go to the Oxford Dictionary and just post up the real one. Like, it's just dumb. The guy loves the smell of his own farts, don't get me wrong. But this is just, what's it like watching your multi-decade political career disappear in this sort of culture war bullshit?
All right. Hey, we've still got 2 stories to get to, so we're going to get moving. Catastrophize D's nuts, Seymour, says Mr. Arvids. It's in the ballot. Seymour, we sent him a card of apologies as likening it to getting a telegram from the king/monarch on your 100th birthday, like it's an everyday task. Well, it's like getting it on your 100th birthday if the king or monarch was responsible for giving you second-degree burns. That's what it would be like, technically. Tiffany says, less wank, more woke. Read the room, Judy. Daniel, never would have gotten burned with sushi. It's a very good point. Woke sushi wouldn't have burned a kid. And someone said before leg or arm. I think I said arm, maybe leg. You might be right. So I put that up there. Mr. Arvid, I'm inclusive. My husband's Samoan. Talofa, Judith Probs. Ian says Seymour is
having
focused
a
on a
Samoan
task.
husband's pretty woke.
Pretty woke these days. And doesn't see the kids as people. Product X to consumer Y at 95% success. Completely stripped of humanity. 100%. 100%. Tiffany, I'm wide awake, so what I would say to you is talofa. That's from Judith Collins. And finally, JC and the Pigeon Cats. Nats are panicking, been told to crank up culture war as their only hope to get back in next term, but won't work here unless some far-right billionaires get a majority of media on board. Oh, wait. Yes, we haven't talked about NZME this week, have we? But there is a conversation to be had there. Also, there is a group, and we are hoping to have Olivier Dutel with us tomorrow night, talking about setting up New Zealand's Doge. So we'll hopefully have a conversation. I don't know too much about it yet, so I won't give too many a précis to it. We might just see if we can get Olivier tomorrow night and have a bit of a chat about it. Right. Okay, Chewie, do we want to, maybe we should finish off and wrap up with our school lunches conversation, and then our palate cleanser at the end can be Ontario. We'll do it that way, eh? Mm-hmm. Right, here we go. This is a story about what's happening, and I contacted the school today, but because I learned of this story too late, we didn't give them enough notice to speak to the principal. I mean, if they pop back up tomorrow, maybe we'll try, but here's a school who is rejecting the school lunches because they are trash, and that's where they're all ending up. And this is where teachers and I guess local community are coming together to actually make lunches for kids. This is still happening. Remember as well, as we watch this, the government, when in opposition, one of their main lines of concern around the then school lunches under Labor was waste. Right, so remember that. These guys changed it because they were so concerned, amongst other things, but very heavily weighted, was about waste. So that therefore means, Chewie, we would expect waste to be far less. That would only make sense. Cue the story.
Millions of dollars worth of food fed to the pigs. That's from one East Coast school urging the government to revert to the old school lunch model to prevent any further waste. Here's Henry McMullen.
The lunch line growing in numbers by the day. Thank you. But it's not for the food, it's the disposal line. Despite teachers making sure the kids try their meal before throwing them out.
Now that's really important, because you know what, some people look and say, oh, they're just doing what their friends do. The teachers make them eat some, so they can't just go, ooh, yuck. You know how kids do that? Ooh, well, try it. Oh, it's funny, you like it, but this is try it. Oh, okay. You think it's trash.
This is the wastage pretty much that we get every day. Like, this is, every day, like they're all coming up to line up and throw it away because they're not into it.
Nuhaka school staff saying the food is inedible, lacking taste, and with the same meals on repeat.
Hey, Mr. Luxon, these are your customers. Mm-hmm. You know how you like to talk about customers instead of patients? These are your customers, and they're rejecting your product. So as the CEO in waiting, as the great leader, the great CEO, what do you do when your company offers a product that gets rejected by your customers? These are your customers, sir. What do? Do you keep serving them the same stuff that they're rejecting, going, we'll just keep doing it? Or do you fix your product to your customers?
Staff using their own money to cover alternatives so kids are fed.
This is what we do. We have a freezer full of bread, come in and start making sandwiches.
We have staff bring from home their snack bars for their kids in class, because not all of them have, a morning tea when they come to school, or they don't eat breakfast, so they're already hungry once they get to school.
But the school fears they can't continue to cover the costs.
I'm actually quite scared of what the future looks like for school lunches. In a sense, I'm quite annoyed that they actually changed it, because our school lunch system last year was working great. The kids loved it. There was hardly any food left over.
With a school roll of just over 100, Nuhaka School receives 3 of these meal containers a day. Today's mince meal created 2 buckets full of food waste and dozens of unwanted meals that can't be reused. All those leftovers then passed on to one.
Just quietly, Mr. Seymour and Mr. Luxon, remember all that noise you were making about all the waste under Labor? Just gonna freeze frame.
And more to the point, I remember him mentioning that one of the true signs of the waste built into the Labour's thing is that they were getting fed to pigs.
Yeah. Yeah. And remember, this is the waste from a tiny rural school, 100 students. So this is indicative waste of a small school. I just wonder now today if you're as concerned about the waste.
Unlucky local.
Millions of dollars going into a pig bucket feeding our pigs.
It's a misuse of taxpayer-funded property, and our goal is to make sure that everyone enjoys these lunches so much that they're almost going on the black market.
So, okay, you're a twat, but let's just go with what you've said.
What the hell?
Our job is to make these meals so enjoyable that kids want to sell them on the black market. Let's skip by the redonkulous thing you just said. But what you're saying is your job is to make them that kids are chomping at the bits to get them. Fail, Mr. Seymour. KPIs, Mr. Luxon, not being hit. Your customers are not happy. You are not doing what you say you should be doing. So fucking do it. Or let the local community keep doing it like they were last year. Chewie.
We are just judging the man on the words that he has used.
Yep.
He loves his words. He's always in front of the media saying them. That's why we fucking remember them. One of the things that he said was that these would be the best meals that these kids have ever had.
And cheaper.
Ridiculous hyperbole straight out of the gates, but here we are. Now, the proof is in the pudding. The kids don't want to eat them. And his response to this story is to basically make some sort of bullshit threat about it being misuse of taxpayer property. What does he expect to happen? This school, Nuhaka School, stop giving it to the pigs. What you need to do is you need to put all of those scraps and uneaten meals back in the box, seal up the bucket, put it in the courier and send it to David Seymour's fucking office.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh.
If it can't be used for a pig and it's a misuse of taxpayer money, then obviously David Seymour has a better idea for those scraps. Send it to him so that I'm a taxpayer. I don't want them wasted. I don't want them going into a pig. I want them sent to one. Send them to his office.
So, people of Wellington, we know someone who lives in Wellington who does some work with us. Schools, what we need to figure out is if we can get the schools together, just on one day, get somebody with a trailer who can go around to all the primary schools in Wellington, pick up all the waste, bring it to Parliament, drop it on the front door. There you go, Mr. Seymour. You said not to go to the pigs. How about you deal with it then? What should we do with it? One trailer, one day, Wellington primary schools. We'll see what they do then.
Or maybe you're in Auckland. You could go to his electorate office. Leave it there.
There's one out in Botany as well.
Avenue. 27 Gillies Avenue, Newmarket.
Gillies Avenue. Yeah, people who don't know Auckland, that is one of the most expensive real estates. Gillies Avenue goes through where Epsom Girls Grammar is, and it goes right onto the motorway by Newmarket. That's really expensive real estate. There's other expensive real estate out in East Auckland and Botany that Mr. Luxon actually owns the property that he then rents back to himself as his electorate office. You know, East Auckland, you guys could get together one day, one trailer, all the primary schools, and take it to Mr. Luxon's place. See what he wants to do with it. Oh my gosh, it's such a good idea. You should look, bighairynews@gmail.com if anyone's got any ideas. This is actually an appropriate protest. We were talking about protest earlier. This would be an appropriate, good protest. Here's one day of the primary schools in East Auckland, Mr. Luxon, at your doorstep. Now what?
This is what we call direct action in the business.
All right, let's get to the end of the story.
School thinks the government is out of touch with the struggles families face.
It means such a lot to some of the families. It's what's helping them get by in many cases.
But for now, the meals are certainly pleasing someone, just not the children.
It's disheartening to see our kids are hungry and, you know, our resources that we have here are depleting.
Another day as the school lunch fiasco rolls on. Henry McMullen, One News.
There you go. At least the reporter is calling it the school lunch fiasco. There's actually something. And that's someone in the media going, this isn't. I mean, I guess they all are, but you know, we'll just get into it.
I'm serious. Sometimes I say some ridiculous bullshit, I acknowledge. But
Really? Go on. I've never seen that. What?
It's why you included me in this project. This is a good idea that we've stumbled on.
Yeah, it is.
If you've got a school in your area and you've got a contact with them, see if they want to participate.
We could actually. Okay, this is in the words of the immortal Bill O'Reilly. We're doing it live. We should find out when they're next due to be in their electorate offices. They're at the House this week. We should figure it out, and we should get some local people involved, and we should do some of these drop-offs. You're going to have Erica Stanford. Sorry, Erica, but you're a part of this with your leadership. We're going to have David Seymour. We're going to have Christopher Luxon. There's 3 people that need to get a delivery. So, bighairynews@gmail.com if you can do it in your area. And perhaps even if it came together, Chewie, maybe we'd have to jump on a plane and go visiting.
Because it needs to be on camera.
It's hard being in Dunedin because we're such lefty lunatics here that we've just got Labour MPs as our locals. All right, this is called the beginnings of an idea, Whānau, and we will continue to flesh it out as we go through. Have you got any? You want to read the super chats? I'm going to go off over here and have a bit of a cough for a minute or so.
There's only one. You better have a quick one. So straight away, we've got buy-in from the fantastic BHN community. It's in the ballot, the $5 super chat. In Wellington, my van available to deliver food in school waste. Magenta, the passenger seat is yours. It's all coming together. This is a good idea, people.
It is actually a good idea, guys, but we'll now just start working on it and see how we can figure it out. All right. Let's get to the last story because I think my throat is now officially done for the night. So I'm going to watch and listen a little bit. Pardon me. Oh crap! What did I just do then? It wasn't the right button. A little bit of a palate cleanser for you at the end. This is called How to Push Back. Donald Trump's tariffs on Canada are going to hurt Americans and hurt Canadians. He is the Premier of Ontario. That's where Quebec is, I think, isn't it? Isn't it Quebec, Ontario? They actually supply power. Oh, man. Sorry. They actually supply power and other things across the border down into the US. This is their protest for what Donald Trump's doing at the moment.
Until the threat of tariffs is gone for good, Ontario will not relent. We will not back down, pausing some tariffs, making last-minute exemptions. It won't cut it. We need to end the chaos once and for all. We need to sit down, work together, and land a fair deal. A deal that gives businesses the confidence to invest. A deal that gives workers the security they need and deserve. Until then, Ontario will keep up the fight. We will apply maximum pressure to maximize our leverage. That's why today we're moving forward with a 25% surcharge on electricity exports. For the 1.5 million American homes and businesses that Ontario powers, homes and businesses in Minnesota, Michigan, and New York. This surcharge will cost families and businesses in these states up to $400,000 each and every single day.
Whoa.
On an average, this will add around $100 per month to the bills of hardworking Americans. Let me be clear. I will not hesitate to increase this charge. If necessary, if the United States escalates, I will not hesitate to shut the electricity off completely.
That's what you call protest. That's someone going, Donald, we ain't having your shit here, son. And that is protest. And I wanted you guys to see that, because that's someone standing up and going, we have some authority here. We have agency here. We don't have to sit back and be the victims. If you want to fuck around, if you're going to fuck around, you're going to find out. That's what he's saying, basically.
Pat.
Yeah.
Did you know that you can actually send mail to an MP
for
free of charge?
Does that include buckets, though?
No, it's packages up to 1 kilo.
Ah, that's still quite a few meals, isn't it? Oh my God. What the hell? Though that might be like 4 or 5 meals. I like it how there's no talking. We're all just going, okay.
They would have to be sealed. We wouldn't want a bag of loose fucking lunch.
Okay.
Just rattling around in a box that some poor courier has to deal with.
All right. So we
certainly
have now...
uneaten meals that we get our hands on, we should be able to put in a box and send to David.
Okay.
And just with a note that says, we've heard you don't like taxpayer meals being misused, so we're sending it back to you.
Okay, we're going to stop doing live brainstorming now, because there's some ideas
this is great.
Out tomorrow. Right, let's have a look. Oh, you didn't take that one away from It's in the Ballot, the offer for Magenta. Tiffany says, last one, go look up Canadian war crimes. Okay, I guess we can do that.
Okay, no. My favorite joke about this is referencing the Geneva Convention as the Canadian checklist. No shit, a lot of the Geneva Convention came out of the things that the Canadians did during World War One. They're nice people, but you put them in a war, they go fucking crazy.
So what we're saying is maybe America isn't the big bullying for these guys here. Maybe they have a history of pushing back, maybe, even though it's illegal. Alpha Films, aka Imprint, says, where are the tariffs at? Trump keeps flip-flopping. Yeah, I think that's the point, and that's one of the things that's giving no business confidence in America at the moment, because all the businesses are going, next month it could be 25% more, and what are we doing? And that's why you're seeing things like the stock market crash. Hi-ho. All right, guys. Anything you want to wrap up with, Chewie? It's lucky we had that half an hour introduction chat, because like if we hadn't, we would have been finished at 10 p.m. That would have been a tragedy.
I'm very happy with the ideas that we've had tonight.
Yeah, I know you are. I can see it.
I don't want to let this go.
No, I know. But now we need to, if you want to do it properly,
we're going to have a plan.
We're going to then actually have to address it. So this is like now brainstorming live on air, which is not going to get us anywhere. It's a good idea. I've already written down contact the NZEI tomorrow, and we will start to progress. Then we need to talk to the schools. Then we need to start sending packages. Cool, bro. Maybe we could get some BHN printed, like envelopes, right? And we could send those out to the schools. They all take like 4 meals, which will be under 1 kilo. Send them up, David Seymour, and then they'll arrive on David Seymour's desk and they'll say BHN. I'm sure that'll make him want to come and talk to us for an interview. Hey. Well, he had his chance, Pat. We spent a good couple of years trying to be nice, not to use too many bean nicknames, that sort of thing. And then they started ignoring us. Sorry. Did I have a head injury for 2 years? What 2 years was that? That we were trying to be nice? The first 2 years.
Yeah. We were trying to be like more in the middle, exactly what we're criticizing Labour for. And then at some point we gave up. We gave up because these guys won't talk to us, but they're quite happy to go on the platform. So you chose this. You brought this on yourself.
All right. Hey, thanks for joining us tonight, team. I actually, to be fair, I was thinking at the start of the show, tonight's show, I don't know if she's going to be a cracker. It looks like it's okay, but
you always do that. You always do that. Going, I don't know. I don't have the energy. I don't have very good stories tonight. And then we fucking smash it out of the park and have one of the best ideas we've ever had.
Well, let's see if we can now put it in practice. And in all seriousness, once again, if you are someone who has a way of helping this happen, don't even know what yet, bottom of the screen, bighearingnews@gmail.com. Fire us an email and we'll start. Because, this might be a month-long process if we can get it going at all. So, let's
don't go off half-cocked. We want to build a network to do it first.
We definitely want to have a full cock. HO, no half.
Yeah.
Is that right? Have
Correct.
I got that right? Have I got
no one likes half a cock?
No. But I've used that term correctly. We definitely want a full cock. Is that right?
I assume.
I think it's what the kids are saying these days. I'm not entirely sure.
Help us settle a debate, whether it be thoughtful or funny, even if we're all creatures of hate. It's a fine line that we're walking together. For better, push aside the temptation to berate. Let's take a note of the corners we stand in. As many points as the hairs on my chinny chin chin. When the news that we're watching is hairy, knowing all the things that we need to be wary of. Like the rich have the hand out for rewards, while the many have to work at what they can't afford. And the rest of us ain't paying attention, or maybe have questions we're too worried to mention. Other media is still dwelling on trivial facts, vetting peas from the rice and the mice from the rats, and picking and choosing a warpath to run, linking ourselves with the hill to die on. It's gotta come down to a...
What does that one mean, Joey? You've got big feet, Pat. What is that? What have I done? That's a strange one.
I don't know.
I do have size 14.
You very deliberately kept your feet off camera.
Yeah.
In
all honesty, I've got size 14 feet. But I'm just wondering what's that got to do with tonight.
He's lying, chat. He's lying. He's actually got really small feet. He falls over really easily.
Levi says, let me know I have 2 vehicles in the trailer. All right, now we got to start to organise. Chloe always says grassroots organisation. That's what we got to do. So we'll do that. Thanks for tonight, team. It's been fun. I've enjoyed it. Hopefully you have too. And thanks for being with us through the evening. I hope we catch you tomorrow night from 9 p.m. for the next edition of Big Hearing News. And I'm hoping that we are going to be talking a bit about the innovation centre that's attempting to set up New Zealand's Doge. We'll come back to you on that, but we'll see what happens tomorrow night. Remember, Barbara Edmonds on Thursday night and Chippy next Monday as well. That's it for me, Chewie.
That's it for me.
All right,
cheers,
guys.
fam.
Catch you soon. Love you. Catch you soon. Hooroo.
See you.